and it's kind of darky outside because of the overcast, because it's been raining like a bitch this week. I'm loving the rain, loving it, and I figured today I would release my 2 videos on Riverdale because I know last week it was a thunderstorm and the lights were flickering and I couldn't put out my review for episode 4, and then episode 5 ended up coming out, 6 comes on tonight. So episode 4, we got to see sassy teenage angst Archie in this episode, and I really appreciated where they took his character in this episode, because one thing I think people are forgetting when people write about how Archie's gone off the deep end or he's acting wild, or even in the show his father being so upset with the decisions that he's making. But here's the thing, Fred, you haven't sat down and had a conversation with Archie about how he feels after you got shot. How did that affect him emotionally? Where's his head at? Fred not once ever asked Archie how he was doing. Fred just expects Archie to just be okay and just do what he's supposed to do, and that's it. And I feel like as a parent, Fred drops the ball there, because I feel like the red circle, all this crazy shit could have been avoided if you would have just sat down and had a normal conversation with your son. Now you're all mad. Like the scene where he goes off on Archie after Sheriff Keller and Principal Weatherby go through his locker and they find that black hood, and how he's like, that was Reggie's because Reggie was trying to scare me, which we saw in an earlier episode. How he was like, you know, they think you're a menace and I can't tell them different. And I just felt like Fred wasn't really trying to be a parent. That's why I really loved where in episode 4 they have a town hall meeting, because shit has clearly gone awry in the town. There's a killer, there's now a curfew, people are adding locks on their door. Riverdale is no longer the town with pep. Riverdale is now the town with a killer on the loose. So I loved when they had the town hall meeting and Alice basically said to Fred, you always want to turn a blind eye, you always want to kumbaya the shit, but at least your son out here trying to protect us and do something, because you're not doing nothing. Like, I love because Alice said that. Like, Alice doesn't take up for Archie often, and this was a sort of warped way of her to take up for him, in the sense that, yeah, I may not agree with everything this boy is doing, but at least he's trying to do something to protect the town and see about everybody, while you just sitting in your house sulking, not doing shit. So I love because Alice pointed that out, and it was a nice moment for Alice to say something redeeming about Archie in this episode. We also have Betty, Jughead, Tony, and Kevin have a little study session about the code that the Black Hood sends Betty, which, first of all, look, for people who love Betty and think she's like the greatest character ever, skip over what I'm about to say because she gets on my fucking nerves. This is my problem with Betty, because it's also my problem with her in episode 5 reveal. Girl, why the fuck can't you just give them the letter in the shit? Like, why you gotta keep this, he sent me a letter and I just hate what it says? Like, that was just so fucking stupid. If you would just give them the fucking letter with the cipher, like, it would've been fine. But then you just Betty do the most sometimes. It's like, you know how in season 1 everybody made jokes how Veronica was constantly going, my dad is up to this, my dad may be behind this, my dad. Betty has a way of feeling like everything is about her. You know, I have to protect the world. I have to do it. It's me, and he knows I like Nancy and Drew, and I am girl. Everybody in this fucking town should know that Betty likes Nancy Drew with the way she fucking acts and always feels the need to crack a case. Okay, and I feel like that was just a stupid thing to keep the letter and not give it with the cipher, because then at least the adults in the situation would have a gauge of who would be so sick, who would have been following Allison Howe's daughter so closely, watching her for so long, to where they would know such an intricate detail that one of her favorite books is that Nancy Drew book where he wrote the code up at. I'm just saying, I feel like she would have helped her situation better, because then Alice Cooper as the mom, as a parent, Alice and Hal in the situation as parents would have been able to glaze over every single person that their daughter knows or that they have exposed their daughter to in order to maybe narrow it down some kind of way. But I feel like Betty just takes those opportunities from people because Betty needs to have this fucking S on her chest and do everything. But I love the scene when they're sitting in Jughead's trailer and Tony started to go off. Like, I like because Tony went off. And I hate because people are saying, oh, well, Tony needs to chill because Betty wrote that thing on the serpents. Shit. First of all, girl, she wrote that to exonerate her boyfriend's daddy. Okay, not exonerate a whole South Side. Just like she wasn't thinking about all of y'all. She was just thinking about FP. But okay, I love because she kind of went off on her. Like, I like when she said the red circle, more like the red psychos. Y'all always talk about the shit we do over here. But look at all the crazy shit you doing over there. Like when Betty gonna say there's more crimes and drugs. First of all, Betty. Okay, the drugs over here are being bought by people in Riverdale, like in your side, in the north side. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, please stop acting like everybody that lives on the north side is so pure. Like, yeah, the south side look rough as shit, clearly. I mean, they have a whole gang running the south side. But let's not act like every single person over there, Betty, is a bad person. And so that's where I feel like her character is just naive and ignorant. And I feel like people just naturally kiss Betty's ass for like no reason. Like she does some things that aren't the greatest things, but then y'all just want to make excuses because it's Betty. But I loved the Rumble. I loved the Rumble at Sweetwater. I loved all the slow-mos. I loved reading behind the scenes of how they shot it with a specific camera and did certain things. But what I thought was so great is Veronica being the one to stop the shit. And this is my thing. I feel like ever since season 1, there's this like group of people in this fandom that just hate Veronica for no fucking reason. Like last season 1. Okay, what the fuck is Betty mad about? Veronica kissed a boy that don't want her back. But she had a whole fit about it. Veronica apologized. Now they're friends. I just don't like how there's this constant narrative that Veronica must be this horrible, nasty person when she's constantly done things throughout season 1 and especially in the openings of season 2 and especially with episode 5. She does things that are very redeeming and make her a good person, but y'all want to act like she's the worst person in the whole wide world. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, what other girlfriends do you know who would be like, all right, if y'all gonna fight though, no weapons, or I'm gonna get the cops? Like, what other girl do you know do that? What other girlfriend do you know is gonna show up at the Rumble breaking the shit up so it don't go too far? What? Who? I feel like Veronica gets so much hate for no fucking reason. It's ridiculous. But I love the Rumble. I love how it was shot. I loved how it was simultaneously going on during the town hall meeting. I love that. I loved Alice's little, I wouldn't say temper tantrum when she went off on Betty about letting Paulie go away. I completely agree with Paulie's decision. I've read online that people thought it was stupid how she just left. If you were a teenage girl who was pregnant with her cousin's babies, you dip too if there was a killer in your town killing sinners. Come on. Logic, people. But I feel like the characters really showed out in this episode. You got a whole lot more from Hiram. They're so sneaky. Like in the town hall meeting, I don't completely trust that Hermione has nothing to do with Fred getting shot because she says a line, I told you Fred was going to be a problem. What do you mean you told him Fred was going to be a problem? What do you mean by that? What does that even mean, Hermione? What do you... And then the fact that they wanted... Hermione and Hiram are such hypocrites, but especially Hermione. I love how she wants to break up Veronica and Archie, but you're completely cool with all the fucked up under the table scheme shit that your husband does. You talking about blind loyalty. What's the difference between what Veronica does with Archie and what you do with Hiram? Because what's the difference? Because you know he's fucked up, so you're okay with it? Or like, what is it? I feel like Veronica and her mother's relationship is going to deteriorate more throughout the season, because I feel like Hermione all of a sudden thinks she can do all this, you know, I'm a good parent, I do this and this, when you do some of the shadiest shit ever and then you try to reprimand your daughter. So I feel like there's a lot of tug of war and push and pull there. So I really appreciated episode 4. I thought it was well done. I thought this is when the suspense and everything really started to kick up, and which led into an amazing episode 5. So I'm gonna review that one next, because episode 5. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review on episode 4. Tell me what was some of your favorite parts and parts that stood out to you. Tell me about the character development of certain characters and where you think they're going and what you like and what you don't like. Leave me a comment down below. And like I say at all the end of my videos, if no one's told you that you're awesome and that they love you, I think you're awesome. And I love you. Peace.